Hi everyone, welcome to How Ines Rolls. Today I have Paul under the weather. He didn't go to work today, so I thought I would make some soup to make him feel better. So I'm gonna get started by making some chicken and rice soup. Doesn't that sound good? I'm gonna get started. I also had a viewer, Amy, suggest that I show it as well. So I was already researching it and I was already like, oh, this is kind of like my chicken noodle soup a little bit. So I'm gonna add rice, but this recipe is made in a slow cooker. So I'm still working today, so I need to make sure that this recipe is gonna be ready for when he wants to eat. So it's about 7 o'clock in the morning and it's gonna probably take about 6 hours or so, but I'm gonna walk you through it a little bit. But see back there, I have frozen chicken breasts. So I'm gonna get started with those in the slow cooker first before I start adding all the ingredients in, which I'll wait a couple of hours. So let me get my slow cooker. Okay, I'm gonna just put the chicken in the pot. Now in the original recipe, it says 3 chicken breasts, but that's not gonna feed my family. So I'm gonna be adjusting water, the water to add certain broth into this. I might add more or less. I'm probably going to put more vegetables in, but I'm going to just kind of make sure it is how we like it. So I think I can fit about 6. These are kind of smaller. They're like from Walmart. So they're a little bit on the smaller side. And I am going to add about 8 cups of water for now. So this recipe says it'll be ready in about 4 hours, but because these are also frozen, I am just going to give it a couple hours head start before I add the rice and the vegetables in. But I can do the seasonings. So I'm going to add just some minced onion, a bay leaf. It's gonna smell so good in here. And then I'm going to put in some pepper and some other seasonings. And we can't forget garlic. Now, garlic is so good for when people are sick. So I'm going to add that in a little while, but I have some parsley, some ground sage, some rosemary, and some thyme. Hopefully it's not too bad, the glare. Okay, and then I'm gonna add some garlic. So let me get this started and I'll show you. I also forgot to add the bouillon. And I kind of like cutting it up before because it's kind of soft and that's how I know I can check on its freshness anyways. So I just kind of take my knife, and I know I'm not showing you right now, but I just kind of make them in little chunks. And actually, because it's soft, it's so easy. And that's kind of just how I know it's fresh. So I'm just going to add those in to the pot. I'm going to get my garlic in here, and I'm going to let it go for a couple hours. And then right now, before I have to start working, I'm just going to chop up some celery, and I'm going to chop up some carrots, and I'm going to keep some rice on the side. So in about 2 hours, I'm just going to dump it in. It should be ready closer to lunchtime, maybe about 1 o'clock or so. And I can already tell it's going to smell, it's already smelling delicious. It's going to be good for our health. And we can just kind of slurp on it throughout the day. We can just eat it, whatever, because Paul is not feeling well and we need to keep our energy up for the rest of us. So soup it is today, right? And besides, these temperatures are kind of going where we live, up and down, up and down. And I don't like that very much. It kind of weighs on our immune system, so to say. Makes it work a little bit extra harder. So I'm just getting this going and I'm going to start it. So like I said, I'm going to keep these chopped vegetables to the side, and in a couple of hours, I'm just going to add them into the crock pot, and I will also notice if I need to add more broth. So because I'm going to be adding a cup of rice, maybe even a cup and a half, it's going to triple in size. So I want to make sure there's plenty of broth, but I don't want it to be so much broth that you're like hardly getting anything in the bowl, right? So my kids are more into just eating the food, not drinking the broth anyways. So it's okay if it's a little, and you might have seen a lot of my foods have been like that, just like where it's thicker and creamier or whatever. It's just because they are less on the broth and more on the meal. But This is going to be so good. I'm just going to put it all over here, and I'm also going to put a rice in the bowl. Because I'm working, I just need to dump it in really fast. So that way it doesn't take away from my classroom time, but I can do it so fast. Okay, so carrots are going to go in there. The recipe calls for 3, and you'll see that at the end of the video. But I'm going to probably put more like 5 because we like the veggies. So everything's going. It's like 7:30 now. I need to have breakfast and let this cook. So I'm so excited to eat this. It smells divine in my house. It's like Thanksgiving-ish. It's kind of funny, but of course it's all those seasonings that are associated in fall and probably a lot of the stuffing mixes. So it's got that rosemary and thyme and all that good yumminess in there. So Paul's out and about. He's just going to pick up a couple of things, but Jonas already had some. I'm all done with work, so I'm gonna get ready to have some. And Jonas really liked it. So we are going to probably keep this in my recipe repertoire and just has it as a go-to. Jonas liked it. He said that he actually prefers noodles, but the rice in here acts as a thickening agent. So it almost has like a creamy consistency, which I love that. So let me show you up close. Wow, right? So good. And it has like all my favorite veggies in here in a soup. That is so good. Now for stock, you saw that I used the bouillon cube, so I like to use that. The recipe called for 9 cups. I think I did 8, and I did add an extra cup in there near the end because I thought it was looking a little thick. So I wanted, and you know what? You could even add like it says to put everything in and cook it for 4 hours. You could even just put those in like 2 hours in, and so that way the rice doesn't break down so much. So I think that would be probably what I'll do next time, is just to kind of cook the veggies and the rice about halfway through. So that way it doesn't have to break down and the veggies aren't super soft, because I kind of like a little bit of crisp to them. Not that it would be crispy after 2 hours in a crock pot, but at least it'll be less soft, right? So I'm gonna sit down and enjoy this bowl, and I'm so glad that you stopped by my channel. I'm glad to have you here and visiting. There are lots of recipes in my playlist that you can take a look at that have to do with soups, and if you stick around, you just never know what I'll be rolling out next. Have a great day. Bye.